Cinemajaw is brought to you by Cards Against Humanity. They asked us not to read an ad. Enjoy the show. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded in Wicker Park, Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is
Rye, the movie guy. And sitting alongside us, as always, is our engineer and local filmmaker, Elias Rodriguez.
How's it going, Jawheads?
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we work on our voice work. What do you think of my oxentail?
I think it's terrible, man.
It's just terrible, isn't it?
I don't. What are you trying to do?
Scottish? I don't know. I can't do accents.
Yeah, you can't. That's for sure.
But we are doing our top 5 favorite voiceover work.
You do a pretty good William Wallace after you've had a few.
I got to have a few, and then I can really, yes, I can.
We'll work on it maybe toward the end of the show.
I'm only on number 1 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The night is young.
Yes. This is an interesting list. When you're thinking voiceover work, especially nowadays, you got animated films coming out left and right.
Sure.
And not only that, CGI characters that is becoming more and more prevalent in movies.
Right.
And that voice work is just becoming that much more important. So what a great time to cover the topic.
Yeah, they're eventually going to just like get everybody's voice synthesized. So like when an actor passes away, they can just go into the files and create the voice like they've done with the images.
Yeah, and we saw that one movie, The Congress,
right, with Robin Wright,
where basically a studio owns the likeness of a person and can use their voice or likeness in any movie in the future.
I know that's a sci-fi film, but I think we're pretty much there.
Get in there. We really are.
It's creepy.
Yeah, we also have a great guest who's going to be joining us very shortly as well.
Yes, Elliot Bambrough. You guys probably know him from Chicago's Best. He's done a lot of voiceover work himself. 2-time Emmy Award winner. Very excited. 3-time.
Yes.
Please, I did not want to deny him the 3rd Emmy.
Yes, I don't think we've had an Emmy winner on this show before.
No, that is a distinction. You know what? That may not be true, but I think it is.
The other distinction here, Matt, he is British. He came over from London. I don't know if we've had a Brit on the show before. Have we?
His accent will be better than that attempt you made earlier.
I'm sure it will be. I'm excited to have Elliot on because I'm a big fan of Chicago's Best.
Me too.
We'll talk all about that. We got a whole lot more going on, don't we, Elias?
Oh, yes. We're going eye for an eye on Life.
And we have a review of Beauty and the Beast.
Nice. As Elias mentioned, we were going eye for an eye on Life. So I figured, what better time than to play Life movie trivia? Think of...
I thought we were just going to play Life, like the game of Life.
That would be fun, though, also.
Yeah,
I used to love that board
change
game.
of pace.
Yeah, but we are playing Life movie trivia. These are movies with the title Life in them, okay? And that will be Matt versus Elliot in that.
Cool.
Plus, as we mentioned, Elliot hosts a show called Chicago's Best, in which they go around Chicago. It seems like maybe almost a dream job to probably a lot of people. They go around and they get to taste all this interesting food, hit all these awesome restaurants. And it got me thinking, God, if you could go to any movie restaurant or bar, I think we would both agree there's one above all the rest that
I know you have a particular affinity for this place. Yeah,
I do. There's no doubt about it. I've seen this movie numerous times.
Many. What are your faves?
I love the scene, in fact, when the characters do go into this particular bar/restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
The
Mos
diner.
Eisley's... What?
The diner from Back to the Future.
One more time?
The diner from Back to the Future.
Over Mos Eisley's Cantina?
Not even a contest.
Oh, my God.
Mos who?
Oh, you are going down
is
with
that a rapper?
Lightsaber strike to the arm.
Whose Cantina?
Mos Eisley.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. CinemaWAR. Boy, you are going down big time, Matt.
Yeah.
You know what? In fact, I
probably.
I better just write my 20-second rant right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Write it. I got a good argument, though.
All right. This is going to be fun. Jam-packed jaw, as always. So without further ado, we bring in our guest. As we mentioned, he is the co-host of Chicago's Best. Very excited to welcome Elliot Bambrough to Cinemajaw.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here. I would be a self-confessed, jarhead, I guess you'd call me if I was listening to the podcast. But I'm a huge movie guy, so I'm as excited as you are to talk about food as I am to talk about movies.
That's awesome.
If that makes any sense.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Now let's start how you came over to Chicago. As I mentioned, you are from London. I think the people listening right there heard that you have an accent. So you started off doing like improv work and in front of the camera work over in London.
Well, my career, actually, I wanted to be in movies. When I was a kid, my passion for movies led me to want to be an actor. I wanted to star in films. And so I studied acting, and I was also a musician. I did a lot of that kind of stuff in school. And to cut a long story short, I kind of didn't want to do that anymore, and managed to get myself into TV work. So I ended up, I studied improv as part of my process as an actor. So that gave me the chops in some respects to really grapple being a TV host. So I became a TV host, and I did some radio work as well in the UK, did some regional BBC stuff. Then I met my wife, who's from Chicago. So that's how I ended up over here.
Was she overseas for something?
We have mutual friends, and she was overseas traveling with friends and hanging out. And the first time she came over and hung out with all my friends, I didn't meet her. And then they were like, "Dude, you got to meet our friend." And then we met, and it clicked, and it was beautiful magic. And I ended up moving over here and relocating to Chicago in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a real long story short. That was super short.
Yeah. So when you get here, before we get to Chicago's Best, what were you doing before you landed co-host of Chicago's Best?
Well, I did a number of different things, all kinds of on-camera work, host work. I did some stuff. I did a movie review show here in Chicago. I did some red carpet stuff. I've done some stuff for Vice. I've done some pilots for a number of different networks like Travel Channel and Food Network and all that kind of good stuff.
You also worked on VH1, correct?
I did some stuff for VH1 Save the Music. I did a wee tour around the US to a bunch of different cities, talking to artists, talking to kids who are benefiting from the program as well. Music is obviously clearly still a huge passion of mine. I played in bands as well when I was growing up too, so I was a front man and played and sang and played guitar and played bass in another band, played drums in a band before that. So
multi-talented.
Just bad at everything. Couldn't really find anything I didn't really suck at until I got in front of the camera more often. I've done a ton of. I've been really lucky. My career's taken me in so many different pathways, and I've done a lot of awesomely fun stuff. Met some crazy people. Traveled on it, and now I host a food show in the city which I call home, and you mentioned it earlier, and it really is a dream job.
Yeah, so let's talk about Chicago's Best. I'm sure obviously we have a lot of listeners that aren't from Chicago and may not be familiar with the show, but it is basically a half-hour show where you tackle a different topic, maybe a different neighborhood, and you basically are doing Chicago's best beef sandwiches or best restaurants on the South Side, right. Or it always has a theme, and it's not necessarily so critical on the food. It's much like the theme here on Cinemajaw is we're trying to have fun with movies.
Celebratory.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I would say. It's a celebration of Chicago's food.
Exactly. You guys are having fun while you're reviewing the restaurants.
Yeah, we do.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, we do. It's the basic for people who are listening who aren't based in Chicago. Firstly, they can check it out online. All our stuff is online. It's all on YouTube. It's all on our website, which is chicagosbesttv.com. They can watch every single 1,200 segments, whatever it is now, because we've been on the air for nearly 7 years now. But basically, it's a crowdsourced show. So the producers will set a topic, whether it be burgers, barbecue, ribs, whatever it is, pizza, and we'll throw it out to the audience, and we'll say, you guys tell us what the best places are we should go and visit. So we don't set the parameters on what's best. So that negates that from us from making a review show. And we simply go and visit the places that our fans say we should go and check out. And we go and check them out. And it's a celebration. We go and meet the owners. We go and check out the food. And we just have a lot of fun. It's an entertainment show as much as it is a food show. And it's a celebration of all that's great about food scene and people in Chicago.
Now, a lot of times on the show, you actually get into the kitchen and cook and help prepare the food, which is some of the fun segments that are involved. Do you then eat some of the food that you prepare, or?
Yeah, we do. I mean, half the fun is getting in the kitchen because, I wouldn't call myself. I love to cook, and I've been cooking since I was a kid. My parents were always hugely enthusiastic about food, and we were taught and encouraged to try so many different things. So we ate everything and anything, and still to this day, I won't turn anything down. It always infuriates me when people say, "Ooh, that's gross," and you say to them, "Have you tried that?" And they're like, "Well, no, I've never tried that." So it's like, how do you know it's gross until you've tried it? Try it first. But that's always fun. It's always interesting because I'm fascinated by food. To go and try your hand at something in the kitchen with someone to try and make a crazy dish or something fun and stat. Even just making a burger is great fun. Just flipping a burger in a restaurant's cool.
That is cool, man. Is the old adage true? I mean, like, so you came over from the UK, and it's sort of like notorious that the food scene over there is bad. Is that true? Like, was it a culture shock coming to Chicago?
The food in the UK is bad. It rains every day. The streets are paved with gold. Mm-hmm. We're all friends with the Beatles, and we sit down with the Queen during the afternoon for tea.
We're talking about
bad.
food.
It's not. It gets a bad rep, and I'm guilty.
Matthew,
come on,
you're insulting our guest.
It's totally fine. Insult away. It's the show's a fun show, and we joke a lot, and a lot of things I say and do on the show are tongue in cheek, and I'm guilty occasionally of saying like, well, the food in the UK is bad. I'm glad I'm here, but it's not as bad as people think it is. There's
of course,
there's great food over there, and we've a proud heritage of good food from the country, but Chicago food scene is, in all seriousness, is like no other. I mean, people rave about New York, but seriously, we have a great crop of food here. Amazing restaurants from Michelin star winning restaurants all the way down to places, classic old school places like Gene and Jude's, like Super Dog, like Johnny's Beef. We run the gamut of every kind of food, whether it's your street food, your cheap food, all the way up to your really expensive fine dining like Alinea. There's no other city that has that kind of depth and breadth of food like Chicago, and we should be damn proud of it.
Amen.
Right.
Now here's a question for you. Your co-host, it should be mentioned, is Brittany Payton, who is the daughter of the late great Walter Payton.
She is?
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Which makes her basically Chicago royalty here.
She is a princess.
She is a Payton, right? I mean, this is huge. But I've seen her. She is ultra thin and beautiful. You, ultra thin, and you guys are hosting a food show. How do you guys pull that off?
You missed the beautiful.
Yeah, you're not going to give him the beautiful? Come on, man.
And the beautiful Elliot.
Yes.
Thank you. We both take. You got to take care of yourself, because my producer, all my producers on the show will testify that I eat like a pig when we go to places. People always say, "Oh, you can't eat the food and look like that." And I literally will run at it as soon as we get in the restaurant and they'll offer us food. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll try that. I'll eat that. You have to be careful. You have to work out. I work out a lot. I stay active. It's just a balance, really. I mean,
sure.
You don't go out and eat like a pizza and a burger and an Italian beef during the afternoon, and then in the evening go home and eat the same thing again. You'll eat pretty light or be careful, but that's always the first question people ask. How do you stay so thin? It's a common sense thing, I guess.
And the other question I had was, obviously, as you mentioned, it's a lighthearted show. You're having fun. There's one time you picked up like I think it was a crab leg, and you were interviewing the chef holding the crab leg, something along those lines,
right.
Something goofy. Is there ever a time that they don't quite get the humor and are a little upset with the way you guys are so lighthearted?
I don't think anyone's ever got upset. I think people are plainly aware. More often than not, we'll call a restaurant up, or the producers will call a restaurant up and say, hey, Chicago's best, we want to film, and they get super excited. They obviously they know the show, they want to be on the show. It's a great celebration. They want to be part of that history and that culture of being on the show. So I can't think of an incident where people haven't liked the joke or got angry, because they know that they know what they're getting into. They know that we're gonna celebrate them and project their restaurant onto WGN, but at the same time they know that I'm going to be silly in the kitchen, and they're prepared for that. I don't think anyone's ever got upset, but there've certainly been times where people have missed the joke. But sometimes that's funnier. So when I crack a joke and I think like, man, I just thought this is hilarious, and then the guy just looks at me and gives me crickets for 20 seconds. That's almost funnier. And to me, I'm like, dude, you just made me look like an idiot, and I love it. That's hilarious. I look so stupid. We're gonna keep that. We're gonna put that in the show. It's you gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
I wanted to ask you a bit about the Emmy wins, because it is one of the distinctions as a guest.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, that must be something you're extremely proud of.
Honestly, you want me to be honest about it?
Yeah, no, I want you to lie.
Okay, I'm extremely proud of it. It's a real achievement. In any career in entertainment or any kind of the arts, you are fighting against so many other people for every job, for every moment that you can to work, and it's a super competitive industry. Whenever anyone asks me, like, how do I get into TV hosting, or how do I get into this, I generally the first thing is I say, think about it, because you probably don't want to get into it. It's super competitive, but you have to have drive. You have to push yourself, because there are a million people behind you who want your job. I mean, the films you talk about, all these people, a lot of them are stars, and they're famous and they get to pick and choose. They get roles thrown at them. But there was a time, and they'll all say exactly the same thing. I was waitressing, I was busboying, and I was going to auditions, and I couldn't make ends meet. They've all experienced it. It's a super competitive industry. It's very, very tough. So to now get to the point where I established in Chicago, I'm relatively well known, and to say that I have these Emmys behind me it's astonishing, because it really sets back the harder times where you're being knocked back for an audition and people say, yeah, we don't think you're really very good for this job, to then look back and say, my peers have judged me to be the best at what I do in out of everyone else. It's a remarkable thing, and it's still, I still walk by them. They're still on the mantelpiece at home. And I still walk by them. And I'm still
Good for you, man.
I'm still
That's
like,
awesome.
oh my God, these are great.
Yeah.
Did it change your perspective after the first win? Getting the second and the third, was it more or less important for you?
The first win was a complete shock, because it was after my first year on the show, and it was my first year submitting for Emmys, and I was like, I wanted to make sure I got nominated. I didn't want to let any of my team down. I didn't want to let the show down. It's like, I got to get nominated. If I don't get nominated, I'm going to feel embarrassed. And the nomination, like, we celebrated like a win. We're like, yeah, I got nominated. And then the ceremony came around. It was like, oh my God, actually, I've got a 1 in 6 chance of winning this. This is crazy. So that was nerve wracking. And then winning that was just astonishing. That was like, I feel like I've been accepted and I've arrived. And then the second year, it felt more like it wasn't gonna happen. It's like, there's no way I'm gonna get a second one, because
lightning doesn't strike twice. Yeah,
I've won one. They're gonna give it to someone else, and so I wasn't prepared for it at all. And I won again. So that was like a completely speechless. And I was like, I've got two. This is awesome. Now I've got
one
symmetry.
for each hand. Yeah,
I've got symmetry. I've got my Wes Anderson symmetry going on right here on my mantelpiece. I'm happy at that. And then this year, or last year that just passed for this award season, I was like, it's definitely not going to happen. And my wife had said she didn't want to come to the second year because she didn't want to jinx me. So she said, you're definitely not going to win this year, so I'll come this year. And I was like, yeah, it's all fine. And then winning again, it's crazy. There's no more pressure put on me, because I've got 3 more than I thought I'd ever get. So
He's like Meryl Streep.
I guess, I mean, she's probably better looking than me too, but I get, sure, I'm happy to be called the Meryl Streep.
Yeah, I love it. Now, one last thing we wanted to touch on, since we are doing our favorite voiceover work, is this is another area that you have tackled. And one of the projects, and it's a fun project that you had gotten involved with, was the Little Brass Bird.
Right.
If you could tell us a little bit about that.
That was super fun. That was, I mean, this was a number of years ago now, but it was super cool. It was a couple who had a plush toy company, and they wanted to put together a series as a companion piece for it, so people could get the backstories on the plush toys. So when they bought them, they had like a character and an individual to associate with.
Sure.
So they asked me to narrate the series and to voice all the characters. So I got the opportunity to tackle everything, and it was such a lot of fun. They're very short. Some of them are very surreal in their storylines and what happens, but it was great. I mean, I got to be silly and do silly voices and do my narrator voice and do little character voices.
And is that online somewhere?
It should. I'm sure it's still online somewhere. Yeah, it's
Maybe
probably
YouTube.
on
Everything's
YouTube.
online, yeah.
Everything's online, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure if people search a Little Brass Bird on YouTube, I'm sure it's all still around. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I have just one more question. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned right at the top that you're a huge fan of film, and because this is a movies podcast, I just wanted to find out, was there a particular film, or what was it that got you into movies?
Wow. We're finally talking about film, though. I'm sure the
Now we're
jawheads
into
are
it,
like,
yeah.
well, thank God. It's like, we're not even in Chicago. Who's this guy? What are we talking about? What got me into film? That's a really good question. I think my dad and also my granddad were big into movies, and I mean, I remember like coming back from school on numerous occasions, and my dad was like, "Oh, this movie was on TV last night. I've recorded it for you. You should check it out." I was always encouraged.
What age were you?
Probably as young as I can remember. I mean, I remember I remember my dad taking me to the cinema when I was a little boy, and I was blown away by just the big screen experience, and going to see Jedi at the cinema when I was like 7 or 8 or something. And if I wanted to go and see a film, he was always happy to go and take me because he liked going to the movies as well. Grabbing some popcorn, sitting down watching a film. But one thing actually I do remember was because I love all kinds of movies, but I'm big into horror films, and
Nice.
I remember being about 8 or 9 years old, and my dad had recorded Alien for me off TV, and he was like, "You got to watch this film.
That's a big one.
It's a big one, and it's pretty terrifying for an 8 or 9 year old kid."
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think that was the moment when I saw the possibilities of movies. We'd gone past the stage of like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and the kind of wholesome kids movies.
Sure.
And it's like, here's a terrifying Ridley Scott film where you're trapped, you can't get out. This is your nightmare when you go to bed in a dark room at night, that you're in the house, you're in a bedroom, and something's not going to let you out of the room. But I was blown away by that movie, and I think from there I just wanted to discover anything I possibly could and watch anything I possibly could.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Yeah.
This is great. Now, Elliot is sitting in on this entire job. We like to end all of our guest interviews with some silly cinema cues, get to know the guest through the eye of the lens. Elias, do you got something for Elliot?
Oh, yes, Elliot. So you said one of your many talents growing up was being a musician in a band.
Uh-huh.
So if you could be in one of these movie bands, who would you pick? Either Stillwater from Almost Famous or The Wonders from That Thing You Do?
Man, I'm gonna go Almost Famous.
Nice.
I think so. Yeah. I think I like the band. I like the movie as well.
I do too. I'd like to see Stillwater.
Yeah.
Nice. And then one more. So you were also an actor. So what role would you rather play, James Bond or Han Solo?
I would rather
Wow.
play. Oh my.
That's
See,
deep.
Now the obvious one. Here's the two things. I can either go stereotype or I can go completely obvious because everyone wants to be
Right.
Han Solo. However, speaking from an actor point of view, if I was still an actor and thinking of the money and the revolving role of doing more than one movie every 25 years, and I've always wanted to be James Bond. I actually have photos of me on my phone trying out dinner jackets,
Nice.
holding up my hand with a gun, and
Everyone wants to be James
yeah,
Bond.
and he's iconic, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm going to go Bond.
All right.
007 for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like it. That'd be a tough one.
That's a tough one for me. I'm really trying to decide.
Yeah, I would actually probably go Bond also. I
Wow,
think.
right.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think I'll make it the trifecta, guys. I'm pretty
No
sure I would
way.
go Bond.
Wow, is that the first
what?
ever like zero score for a Star Wars on any
How
kind of
about
movie
it?
podcast ever?
Well, it was a tough question for Han Solo to tackle.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, plus Bond gets all the girls. What's Han Solo got? Just Chewbacca,
Yeah.
Right.
And Princess Leia, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And he's.
But we all saw how that turned out in the end, didn't we?
Yeah. That was a relationship headed for disaster.
Mm.
I remember watching Jedi, just thinking, these two just aren't gonna last.
No, it's not going to end well.
Good stuff. Now, Elliot, for all the jawheads listening to this at home that want to check out Chicago's Best or follow you on Twitter, where's all the good stuff to do so online?
All the good stuff, all the stuff with the food that we do and all the fun stuff we do on the show is at chicagosbesttv.com. And it's also the same handle, I think, for our Instagram and our Facebook and our YouTube channel. For the less interesting stuff, which is just me, it's E to the BAM, the letter E, the number 2, THEBAM on Twitter and Instagram. And then I'm Elliot Bambrough on Facebook.
Do it, jawheads.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you're in Chicago, you can catch Chicago's Best on WGN and CLTV. I believe.
we rerun on CLTV about 37,000 times a day, I think.
That is actually the times I catch it is when it's on reruns, or like after like a Sox game or a rain delay. You're like, there's nothing on, and then they cut to Chicago's Best rerun. And I'm like, all right, this is great. And there's Elliot having a good time at a restaurant. So
Bingo.
I always enjoy it.
That's my terrible life.
Yeah.
Having fun in restaurants.
Good stuff. It brings us to a segment called Eye for an Eye.
Yes, eye for an eye, interested or ignore. Eye for an eye, life. 6 astronauts aboard a space station study a sample collected from Mars that could provide evidence for extraterrestrial life on the planet. The crew determines that the sample contains a large, single-celled organism, the first example of life beyond Earth. However, the life form proves more intelligent than anyone ever expected. The film stars Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal and is directed by Daniel Espinosa, who previously directed Child 44 and Safe House. We throw it over to Ryan.
boy, I don't know what to make of this. It seems like it's a cheap version of Alien and Aliens. We've seen space horror before, and when I watched the trailer, I don't know what I saw it before. They basically play the entire scene of the first time that the cell form, whatever it is, comes to life and grabs this guy's hand. And it's like, boy, are they really trying to sell this one particular scene? And it didn't work for me. It's got great actors. I think Ryan Reynolds has been doing some good work, and I'm a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. Sad to say, I'm ignoring this one. Matthew?
Yeah, the trailer just did not do it for. How many times have we seen this? Like, oh, guys, we found evidence of new life. Hey, let me touch it. Oh my God, it's got me! You know, come on, really? I think this is kind of a step up for Ryan Reynolds, which is good, and a step down for Jake Gyllenhaal. But the trailer is drivel. Ignore.
Elliot, Life. What do you think?
I hear what you're saying, and I would recommend everyone save their money and go and see Alien Covenant, which comes out later on this year, right?
Yes, it does.
And the trailers for that look fucking phenomenal.
Yes.
And it's like back to basics. So save your money, go and see that.
Agreed.
That's an ignore from Elliot. We throw it over to Elias.
Ignore, yeah. Again, it looks like trash, but they were just showing so much, and I think that has to go with that horror conversation we had, I think last week, of don't reveal too much, just in general, like even within the movie, and
especially not in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it does look like a watered down Alien, and if you have another Alien movie coming out like we do, I like Elliot's advice. Save your money.
I agree.
All right, 4 ignores for Life, but maybe we might have a review somewhere down the road.
Perhaps.
Sometimes we have to do that.
Chances are good.
Yeah, speaking of new movies, Matt, like it or not, Disney has a plan in the works to take many of their classic animated films and remake them into live-action adaptations. The latest tale to get this treatment is the tale as old as time, Beauty and the Beast. Back in 1991, the animated version became the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture Oscar and is hailed by most everyone as a masterpiece. So it is easy to say this latest version has big shoes to fill. Matt and I headed to the Beast's castle to see if it could live up to the legacy.
I've come for my father.
He's a thief.
Come into the light. I will escape, I promise.
Look, a girl.
Who said that?
Hello.
You can talk.
Hello, of course. It's all he ever does.
How lovely to make your acquaintance.
Want to see me do a trick? What happens when the last petal falls?
The master remains a beast forever.
And we become antiques. What did you do to it?
Nothing.
Get out of here! Go!
In the modern times we live in, the Disney company has become a media giant, Matt. They own Marvel. They own Lucasfilm. They own ESPN and ABC Television. But not long ago, their sole purpose was to make Disney films that wowed us with wonder, to give us a spectacle, to remind us why they are called the Magic Kingdom. I am happy to say the latest Beauty and the Beast did just that, a grand and glorious motion picture that, quite frankly, only Disney could pull off. The story, a simple one, remains the same. An arrogant prince is cursed and his castle is placed under a spell. His servants turned into various pieces of silverware and furniture, and he himself turned into a beast. Tucked away and forgotten until Belle's father, Maurice, stumbles upon the castle. Eventually, Belle herself, the young woman who loves her books, finds her father and Beast's castle and trades place with them. Soon, the two, with the help of some truly great musical numbers here, begin to fall in love with each other, and just in a nick of time to break the curse.
Whoa, spoiler alert, man.
People know this one,
what
Matt
if we haven't
Kay.
seen it before?
Oh, come
Yeah.
on. I am just going to come out and say it. This film swept me off my feet. The costumes, set design, makeup, effects, all are dazzling and done in splendid fashion. Director Bill Condon pulled it off. The live-action film was just as magical, if not more so, than the animated version. Emma Watson, as predicted, proved to be the perfect Belle. Another standout performance here was Kevin Kline, who played her father. Heck, There was so much to like here. Matt, do you feel the same as I?
I do, Rye. I do. Yeah, this was absolutely magical. I was trying to come up with a good Beauty and the Beast pun, but there really isn't one. This is just pure beauty all the way. You know, there's a few things that maybe were slightly hiccupy, but you know, for the most part, it's just unbelievably magical. I literally fell into this movie and felt, and granted we saw it in IMAX, but I literally felt like I was in the show. You know, it was that absorbing. Just absolutely gorgeous.
And that's where I go with my first point is the presentation of the film. As you mentioned, we saw it in 3D IMAX, and it literally one of the most immersive film experience. It really felt at times we were in Beast's castle with Belle and the Beast. I mean, when they were dancing, when they were running up the stairs that sort of led to the outside castle walls.
Sure, the tower stairs.
All of those moments. The presentation of this film might just be one of the best presentations I've ever seen in the theater.
I agree. I mean, I agree, but I wonder how much of that was because of the IMAX 3D experience. You know, it's quite an experience, and I recommend if you do have the opportunity, if there's an IMAX in your town, this is one to spring for. I've never seen a film in IMAX, and granted, I haven't seen all that many, probably only like a dozen, half dozen, maybe. This is one to spring for, even though the tickets are a little bit more. Do it. It was just one of the most amazing movie-going experiences I've ever had.
The next topic I had was the look of the Beast. What did you think, Matt?
See, that's where it kind of, I don't want to say falls apart, because this movie does not fall apart. But if there is a chink in the armor, it is the Beast. I'm sorry. There's a little bit of the uncanny valley crossing, like especially when he moves, I can tell it was animated. Other scenes, he looks completely solid and real, and I believe his presence. But if there's one flaw in this movie, it is, sorry, but the Beast.
Wait, hang on. They didn't use prosthetics. They used CGI.
That's what I was wondering. Honest to God, there's clearly CGI.
Why? If it's live action, you've got a dude there. Why not just slap some plastic on his face and make him a monster?
Because they wanted to make it look more real.
Well, throw this into the jaw box too. If you can look up anything on how they created the Beast, because I think it's a mixture of two. I think the body is physically there and in costume, but I think the head of it, I will throw this in the jaw box, is computer generated.
Well, and some of his movements clearly are computer generated because his knees don't bend backwards in real life, and you know the Beast kind of walks like a dog. His back legs are like a dog, so the knees bend backwards. And you know,
does he pee in the castle?
You know, yeah, right in the corner.
Okay,
we
He's
put
a
a
good
little
boy.
we put a little mat on the floor.
Good boy.
Some newspaper.
He's a good boy.
He's trained.
No, the one point where I would say the Beast didn't look that great was the scene where after he is attacked by wolves and Belle comes to the aid and is like helping sort of like stitch up his arm and that kind of nonsense. At that particular moment, it just looked sort of fake. Her holding the Beast's arm, and it was cut. It just didn't look real. The body didn't look good. That was the only time where I was like, ugh, this looks a little...
It's tough to do fur in animation. Like, that's notoriously one of the most difficult things to animate. So, yes, yeah, there were a couple of chinks right there.
Moving down the line here, the musical numbers.
Oh,
Matt?
I really didn't know what Emma Watson's voice was going to do. And wow, she just knocks it out of the park. And really, I can't point to any numbers that were bad, although I will say I prefer the Angela Lansbury original Beauty and the Beast number better than Emma Thompson.
Right, Emma Thompson this time.
It was okay, but you know nobody can touch Angela Lansbury.
I would probably give the nod to Angela Lansbury, but that particular scene, which is the Beauty and the Beast scene, what I really appreciated here was that they didn't try to do a one-on-one take of the exact scene from the animated version, because that's such a special scene in itself. Just the way the camera moves in Beast's castle in the animated version is special, and they captured that same essence of it, but they didn't do a shot-for-shot remake of that particular scene. I really appreciated that.
Agreed.
They both worked. I thought they were both great. And there's some new numbers in here, some new musical numbers. The Beast has his own song, and there's also a little bit added to the story. Not too much more, but it goes a little bit deeper on sort of Belle's family, her mom, and some of her past.
Yeah, which was maybe too dark for the original animated film, but I really appreciated the fact that they extended her role, her story.
Did you have a favorite scene stood out?
There's a couple of great ones. Matt, you want to tackle this one first?
I mean, listen, my favorite scene is Be Our Guest. I mean, who am I kidding? You know, that was just That's the part we were all waiting for, and they deliver.
Yeah, and then I would also say the Beauty and the Beast dance scene, as I just mentioned, was great.
You're such a softie.
Oh, I was waiting for that moment. I thought I was going to cry, and a tear welled up a little bit. It welled up. I'm not kidding you, Matt. And also the musical number where Belle is saying that she is not going to be Gaston's wife, and she runs out onto the hills. And in the animated version, it worked as well, but in this one, it sort of felt like you were watching The Sound of Music.
It really was reminiscent of The Sound of Music, yes. The Julie Andrews scene where she's in
where
the Alps.
Julie Andrews comes
spinning,
running out, and it's that moment, and it had that magic.
It did.
The music builds to it, and it was like, wow, this is something special that we're seeing here. I love that moment.
Nice. Any scene you had trouble with?
Matt?
You know what? I think I already mentioned it. It's just when the Beast moves around, there were a couple of times when it just felt too fake.
And here's mine, and this is the only time where I cringed on the idea that they went from animation and adapted this to live action. Was, you'll remember the scene where the townspeople go and attack the Beast. You know, they finally got the courage. They're going to go to the castle. They're going to attack the Beast.
Kill the Beast.
Yeah, and they have this big number, and they get into the castle. In the animated version, what you have is these objects, the candlestick, the dresser, attacking the townspeople inside the castle. When you're watching an animated film, it works. But when you're trying to do that live action, that entire sequence didn't work for me. It just seemed phony. It didn't work.
I see what you're saying. I didn't have as big a problem with it as I think you did. I liked it.
I mean,
it was a little silly, yes, and that's where it sort of breaks down from a believability standpoint, but whatever. It was fine.
Okay, there's one particular scene, and what I like about talking about this,
They're magic.
You can somewhat spoil this because people have seen the movie, 99.9% of the people.
Nobody's seen the movie. They've seen the original.
Animated, yeah.
Okay.
There's a scene where the dresser basically shoots out clothes in the animated version, and it dresses like people up like in women's clothes. In an animated film, it works hilarious, and they go for that in the live action, and it just comes off silly. I don't know.
I actually appreciated that.
Didn't work for me. That would be my scene.
You know, and I want to add one thing. I don't want to go too long, but like I appreciated the fact that they added a lot of diversity in this film.
They did.
You know, that was good. That was very good.
Any movie influences besides the obvious?
Yeah, the obvious, and I guess maybe it's because it was Emma Watson, but Harry Potter just kept popping into my mind. So.
Yeah, other ones.
It was a Hogwarts type castle.
Yeah, I think again a little bit of Snow White and the Huntsman, where they turned the live action into that, and also I think because they built a lot of the sets, especially in the village, reminded me of Lord of the Rings, like when they were in the Shire, you know, and they had these little sets built, especially that little village that Belle comes from. That all worked on that scale.
Nice.
So
yeah.
What did you learn from this movie?
I learned that Emma Watson can carry a film. We've seen her sort of break out of her Harry Potter career, you know, and then she's taken on some good roles, such as Perks of Being a Wallflower, but she hadn't stepped into a starring role in a picture this big with this big of a budget.
She's arrived big time.
All on her shoulders, and she pulled it off. She has clearly arrived. Yeah, she's going to be a huge star. Not that she wasn't already, but.
What did I learn from this movie? Yeah, I mean, Emma Watson is going to be the next biggest thing since sliced bread. I guess that's fair to say.
I can't believe no one said that don't judge a book by its cover, that it's what's on the inside that count. Why did no one say that?
I learned that from the original.
Okay. I just want to, just reinforcing the point that there's more to people than just being skin deep.
Yeah.
True.
I like it.
Yeah.
How about a one-word review?
I'm going dazzling.
Spellbinding.
Ooh. Let's assign some grades here. Maybe only because it lacked originality, because this is a remake and we knew where the story was going. Had some issues, as I mentioned, with the practical effects near the end of the film. 3.5 Jaws from Ride the Movie Guy.
This is a 4-jaw movie, okay? This is probably the best movie that you're going to see until the summer blockbusters come out, and it may even be the best movie of the year. It's 4 Jaws.
Whoa.
It's definitely the best movie of the year so far.
Yeah, I mean,
clear winner.
Production-wise, I think you will see this get nominated for Oscars for costume, production design, all those kind of technical awards. On that level, it's one of those top ones.
It is a remake, so I agree with you on the originality point.
Yeah. If you see Beauty and the Beast and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at CinemaJaw. We will retweet it, get the discussion going. As Beauty and the Beast came out, it got us thinking voiceover work.
Yeah.
Not to mention Elliot here has done some voiceover work himself.
It all fits.
It does.
I've done a little bit from here. Yeah.
So we decided to tackle this, our top 5 favorite voiceover performances, and we more or less ruled out narration. We didn't want to get into Morgan Freeman talking about penguins.
Because he would have just been every slot on the list.
I was actually really disappointed in that because I would have had Alec Baldwin from Royal Tenenbaums.
I
Totally.
thought him also.
I was like, I had to cross it off the list when he said no narrations. Damn it.
So we're really trying to tackle, think of characters,
Character
animated,
work.
yes, character work, CGI, all that good stuff. Elliot, you're getting us started this week. Did you have
Really?
a tough time coming up with the list?
Yeah, I did. You know what? I have to be honest. I don't use this word often, but I hate top 5 lists because I cannot condense my years of watching movies, my years of appreciation into a list of 5 because I feel like I'm letting down a bunch of people. So in the honor of being a guest and pretty close to the mixing desk, I could rip everything out. I would wonder if I could do some honorable mentions before my top 5.
Ooh,
Actually,
I don't know.
No?
We like to do them after.
Okay.
Only because you might spoil one of our picks.
Okay.
you see?
All right. Okay.
But we'll
But
have room for
we will have
honorables.
room for honorables, for sure.
So let's start the controversy. Okay, my number 5, Woody Allen as Z in Ants. You like?
Love this pick. It's an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
I'm a huge Woody Allen fan.
Me too, and I love his sensibility. I love that the story is based on Brave New World, I think it was, and I just think it was one of those animated movies where they just started to make it for adults. It wasn't just about the kids and keeping them entertained.
Right.
It had a great story, it had a phenomenal cast. Sharon Stone was in it too. Sylvester Stallone was in it, and Woody it worked so well. And I didn't feel I knew I was watching and listening to Woody, but it didn't feel like it was Woody. It felt like a real character that was made for that. So that was my number 5.
Wonderful. I remember watching, I don't even know if I knew Woody Allen was the lead until I started watching the movie. And I remember it came on and it opens up with him, he's a working ant, and him just complaining about the day-to-day duties of a working ant. Who else would you want better than Woody Allen to complain about such things?
And
it was perfect.
His sort of affection has become like a trope, like the bagel in what was that movie?
Sausage Party.
Sausage Party, yeah. I almost thought that was Woody Allen
I
for
did
a second.
too for a long time. Yeah, great pick.
Thank you.
Yes.
I feel reassured. I feel I've set myself at ease a little bit now.
I love it. Yeah.
Do I keep on going, or do
No,
you guys?
we
Okay,
throw
we'll
it
go
over.
round robin.
Okay, cool.
You want me to go next?
Sure.
All right,
whatever.
All right, I'll take number 5. And I swear to God, all 5 of mine could be number 1s on anybody's list. That's how strong of a list I believe I have here. So Matt,
Not to pat yourself on the back.
no, but
there.
Matt,
Well
I could
done.
be stealing one here. But there's tons of honorable mentions
There are.
here.
Yeah, okay.
2004. The Incredibles had a lot of great voice work, but I thought none better than Holly Hunter.
Wow.
Really, Holly Hunter.
Oh, yeah. She has such a distinctive voice, a female distinctive voice in Hollywood. And here she played the mom and Elastic Girl.
I love the character. Yeah.
Loved her in there. I thought that was the best work in The Incredibles was Holly Hunter.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, again, it's another one of those movies where the ensemble is so strong that you're so immersed in not just it's spellbound by the animation, but also by the character voices. It's one of those seamless movies, start to finish. That is a classic.
So I had a bit of a criteria for how I built my list.
Here he goes.
So I wanted, I didn't. You guys,
You
your picks
can't
are,
screw this list up,
This
man.
is fine.
You cannot screw this list up.
Holly Hunter and Woody were pretty much doing their voice, right? They were being themselves.
We've only just started though, so cut us some slack.
I wanted to pick ones that were like challenges, like they weren't doing like a voice that came natural to them. So at number, and it's no question was Vin Diesel going to be on this list.
Oh, he's on my. This is one of my honorable mentions.
It's just how many times is Vin Diesel going to be on my list? So at number 5, I have him in Brad Bird's The Iron Giant.
Brilliant. That he's on my honorables for that, and for another one too. He does an amazing performance in that.
That movie's just like heartbreaking to the core. You still haven't seen
I
it.
still have not seen
Oh,
it.
dude, Superman's his hero. Oh, it's just.
I believe it is streaming too. Throw it in the jaw box. I think I just saw it on one of them.
If you nearly cry during Beauty and the Beast, you will cry during this movie. I think that's the level. It will tip the scales
I'm
and
excited.
you're completely like losing it.
Yeah.
I think we last mentioned it on Tearjerkers. So
Really?
yeah, and funny thing is, I did not realize that was Vin Diesel until very recently.
Well, I noticed the year that it came out, Vin Diesel couldn't
He was
have
a
been
nobody.
that popular, right?
No.
He
That was like 1999, right?
Yeah.
2099.
So Vin Diesel was, really pretty much at nothing. I remember he was in Saving Private Ryan, if you remember. He's got a small scene in that movie when they go into one of the towns. And that was, I think, 98, 99, and he was a nobody then.
He was in the Boiler Room before that as well, though.
Okay.
That's a great movie. If
That
you guys
is.
seen
I
that?
love the boiler
When they
room.
put their-
Yeah.
yeah. That's got to be like what 96, 95, 96.
Throw that in the
something
jaw box
So
also.
he had popped
boiler
up
room-
here and there.
When did Vin Diesel come out onto the scene? Will you, Elias? Yeah, give us that rundown there.
But this one probably broke him out, at least somewhat, at least, behind the scenes breakout.
True.
I think there's a lot of people out there that A, wouldn't know him past Groot, and 2, would be like, Vin Diesel does voice work? Why does he have the range to do that? But I mean, yeah, it's an exceptional it's a great film, and his performance in that is superb.
Yeah, and not to drag this out, but like the way he makes the robot sound, like Vin Diesel is probably one of the few people that can do this. He gives it that gravelly, almost metallic sound, and that's just one of his talents. So
Nice. I got to see this one. It's on my list to do's.
bump it up to number 1.
Okay, we're into our 4s. Elliot, what do you got?
All right, this one's for my countrymen, and this is a movie that I frequently watched growing up. And you want to talk about tearjerkers? Many a tear has been shed during this movie. It's Richard Briers as Fiverr in Watership Down. That's my number 4. Have you guys ever seen that? You may never have seen it.
I have not.
It's a wonderful movie. It's based on a book. It's about a group of rabbits who have to move out of their home because there's bulldozers coming in to put up houses and stuff. So they go on this journey to go and find a new home to live in. Along the way, they're attacked by dogs. They're attacked by other rabbits. They make friends with a seagull. John Hurt plays one of the other characters as well. They come across an evil rabbit who tries to kill them, a general, and it's one of those very British stories about destruction of landside, about the protection of animals, and about friendship and about discovery. And Richard Briers plays this character called Fiverr, who is your continual. He's so positive throughout the whole film, but he also keeps the whole group together when they lose members to get killed as they're moving along their journey. And it's such an endearing film, and his voice is so soft and gentle, and the character he plays is so loving and nurturing. And if you haven't seen it, Jarheads out there, you guys as well, I hope that I've opened up a new door to everyone to check out a great animated movie called Watership Down, and it's also got one of the most tear-jerking songs in it, Bright Eyes, by Simon Garfunkel. It plays in it, and it's honestly, it's one of my favorite kids animated movies growing up.
Throw that also into the jaw box. See if it's streaming.
Watership Down.
Watership Down.
That's
I love it.
There you go.
I love getting Q-tips.
That
like
is a
this.
good tip, yeah.
This is why we bring in Elliot, right? Swings us over to my number 4. And Matt, almost every week, maybe every other week, I call you a jackass.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a weekly
pretty common
occurrence.
here.
And the feeling's mutual, by the way.
In 2011, this particular character, again, a megastar early on in the 80s and 90s.
So what you're saying is I'm a megastar, not a jackass. Thank you.
And then he tackles the role of a donkey.
Oh.
And it is just one of the best moments. Just every time I see the donkey in Shrek talking, I laugh. I smile. Eddie Murphy as Donkey.
Dude, this one's right on the cusp of a Jar Jar Binks for me.
What?
No.
I said it's on the cusp. I didn't say he crossed the line. It was a comeback for Eddie Murphy, and I think most people liked it. But it's there. The annoyingness is there. I guess that's the point of the character.
It is.
I'd say the annoyingness starts in Shrek 2. I think that he becomes a caricature of himself at that point. But the first one, I think it was so fresh. And I read somewhere that originally Steve Martin was going to be Shrek, and I can't remember who else was going to be Donkey, but I think Eddie does an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it definitely relaunched him.
The other thing, too, is Shrek is almost like the Rocky films in some way. If you just looked at the first Shrek when it came out, and you didn't see how much we got, so many, what do we have, 4 Shreks, there were holiday
I'm
specials.
going to coach you on that. Shrek, it's like the Rocky films.
But you know what I mean? Like, if you just looked at the first one when it came out, was awesome. I loved the whole take on Shrek. It was, at that point, one of my favorite animated films. And then since then, it came down a little bit because there was so much Shrek in the world.
And spin-offs.
And and there were everybody had their own Puss in Boots and yada, yada. So, but Donkey, original Shrek, perfect.
Okay.
My number 4.
I'll give it to you, for sure. All right.
Give it to me.
Yeah, you can have
jackass.
that one. At number 4, there it is. At number 4, I have Levi Stubbs as Audrey 2 in Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, good one.
choice.
Woo! Good one, Matt.
First of all, the puppetry in that movie is absolutely spot on, but I don't think it would have had the same effect without that voice. And I mean, he's kind of got this like when he sings, it's kind of like a Motown thing, but I guess I can't really put it into words what he's got. It's very sinister, but at the same time charming and seductive, and it's just phenomenal voice work. The best character in the film.
There's no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's great characters in that movie.
Oh, for sure. I know I've said this on Cinemajaw before. I've seen live productions of it, and I love
Feed me, Seymour.
Yeah, the plant is always the highlight of them seeing it. So
That's another classic. Yeah, another great one. Rick Moranis is awesome in it, and Steve Martin as well as the dentist. It's but that plant is the centerpiece, right?
Yeah.
Good pick.
nice pick, really good. We're into our threes. This is getting good.
We're into our threes, and we haven't had a crossover yet.
Right,
this is
like
good,
it.
yeah.
One. All right.
Like
Okay. This is where it's all going to change, though. Okay. This isn't obvious, but and again, another cast where I could have picked any one of the characters, big or small. I went with front and center because it was just a great performance, and also this for me was where animation really turned the corner and became something completely different. Tom Hanks, Woody, Toy Story. It's
also
obvious, but
also my number 3 right here.
Really?
go.
Wow. What are the
Yes.
odds
we're
on
on the
that?
same wavelength.
Yes, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you. It was what a character. I mean, it definitely, obviously, was the first CG animated film, full length like this, first Pixar picture. And Tom Hanks could have maybe dialed it in a little bit. You know, he didn't have to go as perfect as he did with Woody. He became one of the most famous cowboys in movie history.
No arguments here, guys. Yeah, it's a fantastic pick. Great performance from Tom Hanks. Yeah.
Nice pick. I love it. I mean, and you're right. Tim Allen equally is great.
Tim
right?
Allen, yeah, his voice, and again, talk about another person whose career kind of like had taken a semi nosedive and was perked back up again. Tim Allen when he was Buzz Lightyear, and just his outlook on everything in his supposed universe, his delivery of those lines, and just the playoff between almost like they should be in there together, because as a double act, they really play off well off of each other, and they offer different perspectives, and they pull each other out, bring it back in again, and it's just you almost can't have Woody without Buzz, and those two playing off their voices off together is beautiful on the ear.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, as I mentioned, my number 3 also Tom Hanks as Woody in Toy Story. Since there are plenty of honorable mentions, I will sub one in here. This was the first of my honorable mentions. This actor is just phenomenal. I mean, he was a great, nominated for 7 Academy Awards. And so when you heard that he was going to be in an animated role, and on top of that, just a supporting role, it was going to be interesting. I'm speaking of Peter O'Toole as Anton Ego in Ratatouille. He is the food critic, and you needed this presence, this intimidating presence to be the food critic. And they ended up getting Peter O'Toole somehow, and we are all just a little bit happier for it because his performance in there is just awesome. Even though he's only on screen for maybe a whopping 15 minutes total in that movie, it works.
Peter O'Toole's awesome.
And the last speech that he gives about being a critic and so forth is just amazing, and it's done by Peter O'Toole. So yeah, love it.
That makes it all that much better.
Yeah, so I subbed that one in.
All right, that brings us to my number 3, and at number 3 I have Liam Neeson as good cop, bad cop in Lego Movie. To play both sides of that character so well, and I don't think they did anything like with a cut. He would just flip, to the high pitched, mild mannered voice of good cop to the gruff voice of bad cop. And maybe it's not that much of a voice challenge, but Liam Neeson pulled it off with the acting chops as well. So, plus I just think that movie's brilliant in general. That was the best voice performance in the film. Even better than Will Arnett's Batman, in my opinion.
Give it to you. I give it to you on that.
Yeah, I'd agree that Liam Neeson nailed that, and that was every time he came on screen, you were dying to hear what he had to say, which cop was going to be talking, and yeah, I nailed it.
On top of that, Liam Neeson's in that category, or he has, I think, become in that category of one of the best voices in movies. You know, he's
I agree.
hit that James Earl Jones, that Morgan Freeman type status, I think.
He's up there. Yeah, for
He
sure.
really is. Yeah. I mean, he was the monster in
A Monster Calls.
and it was perfect.
He does have a great voice. I agree.
Yep. All right, we're into our twos.
Into our twos. This is where I may get disqualified for this, and tell me honestly if that's the case, because this may be controversial for reasons that are obvious in a second, but distinctive voice, iconic. His name's been mentioned already, and you can't think of this character without this voice. Could be a disqualification based on what it is, but I've got James Earl Jones as Darth Vader in Star Wars. Can we have that?
I think so.
Because it's
I
just
think
his
so.
voice, right?
I believe
that's
so.
voice work.
Yes, absolutely. For sure.
And you know, again, I could have had Frank Oz in there. I think that's way obvious as well. But I just think
Frank Oz.
as an iconic figure from the movie, if you ask anyone, if you say Star Wars and give me one name from Star Wars, one of the first things people say is Darth Vader. I mean, it's there's the fact that he was even in Rogue One, just that you saw in those trailers that he was going to be in it, even for a fleeting second. It was just like, it's my buddy Darth. And James Earl Jones just is godlike with his voice.
No doubt. And some of the way he even delivers some of the lines, especially as I think people started to note how much they liked James Earl Jones. He wasn't as distinct in the first one, but by the time we got to like Return of the Jedi, when he's talking to Luke about, sister. So you have a twin sister. It's just milky smooth voice at that point. It's terrifying and smooth, all goodness.
But we're all going to forget about the no. Just pretend that didn't happen, everybody.
I like it. Good pick at number 2. Very iconic pick also coming from me at number 2.
Lay it on me, man.
From a sci-fi film.
Oh, this is going to be on my honorable mentions list. I know where you're going.
This one came out in 1968. One of the most famous, most distinctive computer voices of all time. Douglas Rain as Hal in 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Daisy.
How monotone his voice was.
It's creepy as hell.
So creepy.
Oh, absolutely terrifying. Stuff in nightmares.
I looked Douglas Rain up because I thought, God, what did this guy do prior to it? And he was really just a stage actor. Predominantly. He hadn't done a ton of film credits, but Stanley Kubrick had discovered him and put him in this role. And
Must have heard something in his voice.
Kubrick tried out a bunch of other people and he wasn't happy with it. And this guy came in and did it. I read somewhere else before that he put his feet on soft pillows or something to do the. I think it was him. It's either him or it could well be Spacey in Moon, who's like a similar character. It's one or the other. But yeah, Kubrick went through a bunch of other people before he got to him.
Yeah. And now
He landed on the right one.
yes, you hear that voice, and as I say, one of the most distinctive voiceovers in movie history is Hal. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, when they're yelling at Hal to open up the pod bay doors, it's terrifying.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Oh, he's what a sociopath. I mean, if a computer could ever be one, it is the most terrifying character. It's not the fact that you're trapped in space; it's you're trapped in space with Hal. It's the guy on the plane you don't ever want to sit next to. It's Hal.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'll get you, man.
Can you put your seat back up? I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. tell your kid to sit down. No, Dave. Oh.
That was my
Love
number
Hal.
2. I thought it could have been anybody's number 1. But I do have one I think even stronger than that. Matt, what do you got at 2?
All right. At number 2, I have one. You said that you love horror, Elliot, right?
Yeah.
All right. One of the greatest horror movies of all time. Also happens to feature one of the best voice performances of all time. You probably don't even think about this, but when little Reagan is possessed in The Exorcist, oh, did I steal somebody's?
It's on my honorable mention because we can let you go first, but then we can talk about this.
Mercedes McCambridge delivers the voice of Pazuzu, and it's an absolutely horrifying and terrifying performance. She chain smoked packs of cigarettes and swallowed raw eggs in order to get the voice of affection that she wanted. And she also called for a priest to join her on set to counsel her through this performance, which I'm sure you guys have both seen The Exorcist. I'm sure most of our listeners have too, but it's notoriously filthy. I mean, she's just saying the most vile things you can imagine. It's amazing.
She was also a recovering alcoholic, and she was drinking whiskey neat during the recording sessions for it to get in that kind of crazy, demonic almost frame of mind. And apparently, William Friedkin and William Peter Blatty were basically terrified of watching this sweet woman recording these voices, saying these words, and they said it was almost like she was possessed. But I agree with that. It's one of the. It makes that movie because that. She's such a cute little girl, and then these voices that come out of her and the things that she says, it's terrifying, and that's still one of the scariest movies ever made.
I agree.
I agree too.
I'm right with you. I just wonder if there's any video footage of her actually recording it, like in the voiceover.
I don't know.
Because I
That'd
think
be
that
good,
would be
wouldn't it?
terrifying as well. Just seeing her say those lines would scare me.
Let's throw it in the jaw box, man. I mean, I've never seen any if it exists. Is there any footage of Mercedes McCambridge doing the voice of Pazuzu from Exorcist?
Yeah.
Well, here it is. We are at our number ones.
Okay.
Elliot, kick it off.
Right, I feel much better about this because after my number 2 that I had, which dumped very nicely, and you liked the way it smelt, and also hearing and seeing your number 2 was a beautiful thing, but a little bit terrifying and huge in its performance. My number 1. This is a lady who only performed 3 voiceover pieces of performance, wasn't once recognized, and lends her voice to a character which is one of the most loved characters of all time. You don't even think to discuss who it was, what it is, because it's so believable. You just accept it as the voice. Pat Welsh, who played E.T. in E.T.
Wow, I never really did stop and think.
Me neither.
There you go. See, you fell into the trap. No one even says who was the voice of E.T. in E.T.
And who even thought it was a woman?
It was Pat Welsh. Her name was Pat Welsh. She, as far as I understand, I think she might have got credit for E.T., but there's a strong possibility she didn't. I haven't watched the movie in a while, but she performed E.T. She did 3 different voiceover roles, and she didn't get credited for them. And she is the voice of a generation of moviegoers who fell in love with Steven Spielberg, with Aliens, with friendship, with all the magical things that happened in that movie.
Do you just like that pick though, because the whole time she just screams Elliot?
That I didn't even think about. I just realized I sucked myself into my schoolboy memory nightmare of being pointed at in circles, go Elliot, which I obviously got a lot. But it's a film that means a lot to me because I mean, again, it's another one of those movies I watched and made me fall in love with cinema.
Yeah, and I do think
doubt.
probably why we don't look at the voice work of E.T. is there is so much going on in that movie. I mean, you're looking at the special effects, the music. There's so much to love about E.T. that, you don't think about the voice of E.T.
And
you're
E.T.,
right.
he doesn't speak all that much. He's not exactly like a conversationalist, you know? He
Right.
just eats his Reese's Pieces and says a couple of words throughout the film. But it is a great performance. I mean, it's nuanced.
I feel that there's always these lists. We always talk about the great work that these actors do, and I rarely see or hear about any lists where her name is thrown in.
That's true.
Because it is a central character. Yeah, she doesn't do much. She doesn't say too much, but she is integral. And like I said, how many times have you said, who plays the voice of E.T. in E.T.? Because it's E.T. You don't even think about it. It's just that is the voice of that character. So you don't even think that it's a person. It's coming out of him.
Yeah.
That's true.
I want to give her some props, and I love her for it.
Well done.
Well done, I
Absolutely.
agree. Nice number 1. Swings it over to my number 1. When you're doing a list like this and there's so many to choose from, it's to me anyways, my mind starts to hurt. Do I really feel this is the best? And when I finally solidified my list, I said, yes, this is my favorite voiceover work. And it came out just in 2013. It's from another sci-fi film, a film that I cherished and loved that particular year.
If you're going where I think you're going.
I'm speaking of the wonderful Scarlett Johansson as Samantha in the movie Her.
It's a great performance. You can't argue with that. It is great.
It is great.
What's your problem with it?
Yeah, Matt, let me at least praise it first
I'm
before you
sorry.
try to rip it down.
I'm owning the show. Welcome to Elliot's Cinemajaw, guys.
Because I would actually say, as I wrote a little note to myself here, is that I'm not sure there's been a more complete voiceover work performance from a character. I mean, there were actually critics and fans that wanted to see her get an Oscar nomination for a supporting role here, and she was never on screen. It was just her voice, and it was that strong of a performance. I mean, it moves you as you're watching this, and to believe that he is going to fall in love with this AI operating system, Samantha, is one thing, but the way it does pull together in a movie is not only credit to Joaquin Phoenix, who is acting opposite nobody, but also to Scarlett Johansson's voice. It was pitch perfect.
I can't.
Quotes on pitch.
Yeah.
You get it?
Well done.
Very nice.
I don't know exactly why I don't like this pick. I can't point to anything specifically because it was a great movie. I love it. And I agree. It's a fantastic performance. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something about it that stinks.
Because you're a jackass. Here's the other thing that should be noted here.
Low blow.
This guy, yeah.
Should be noted here. What's really interesting too is that the film was actually done and recorded with a different actress, Samantha Morton, and that's where the name Samantha comes from in the movie. Samantha Morton recorded the entire movie dialogue opposite Joaquin Phoenix. Then when they were editing it together, Spike Jonze realized it just wasn't working with her voice and realized they just needed something different. And he sat down with Scarlett Johansson and talked about, this is what we need. And you need to come at this as a computer who has no feelings towards certain things, does not know right from wrong in certain ways. You're learning all this and your voice has to project that. And somehow she got it because it worked. I thought her and I thought Scarlett Johansson are brilliant.
Okay. All right. I'll give it to you.
Can I say one thing that before I do rattle off a couple of honorable mentions of my own? You raised a good point about her she should be nominated for a Best Supporting Actress. Why is there not a voice category in the Academy Awards for all these amazing voiceover work?
I think we're getting there because of, especially now, not only the animated films but CGI. There's literally probably 50 great ones a year. You know what I mean? There's becoming so many prevalent voiceover work. So I agree. I could see it becoming a category.
Right. I hope it does.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
I think it needs to be done.
Matt, I hate with a passion when we leave the last number one of the week to you, but that's what we did here somehow. Right. So
this one it's always a little anticlimactic and it perhaps a little obvious, but I really have to give it to Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin.
I'll give you a nod on number one for that. That's a number one pick.
He's like a firework in a jar, like he's just like popping off in every different direction. And the animators actually had to work around him, because he was just improvising so much. And it was like Robin Williams at the peak of his talent, just doing Robin Williams, and his zaniness came through in that picture. And honestly, I think saved the movie. Not that it was bad without him, but I don't know if it works half as well without Robin Williams.
He is the movie.
He really is.
It's the Robin
Jafar's
Williams
pretty
show.
cool, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's the Robin Williams you want to hear. It's the Robin Williams you want to remember. Yeah, we saw great performances in movies, doing different things, but that's what you want to see Robin Williams do. That's him at his best. It's
just
a great
nuts.
pick. Yeah, just go and you're right. I can imagine them like losing their shit. Like this guy won't stop, and we don't know where to go, but we're gonna let him go, and we're gonna try and animate around whatever the hell he's doing.
I heard somewhere that he recorded 16 hours of audio for that film. 16 hours of just Robin Williams.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some of that.
That needs to be released as well.
Oh, yeah.
The Genie tapes.
Yes.
That would be cool.
That'd be a good podcast.
Some nice number ones we had here. As we mentioned, this is a big list. So we all probably have some honorable mentions.
Yes.
Elliot, rattle off some of your...
I'm just going to rattle off the ones that weren't mentioned because some of them were mentioned in top fives. I've got Vin Diesel again as Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Billy Crystal as Mike in Monsters, Inc.
Great one.
Douglas Rain, you had Phil Harris as Baloo in The Jungle Book. I mean, that's a classic character. And when I was a kid, I wanted him to be my best friend. I wanted that bear as my buddy and to sing with me and take me along on trips and stuff. And it's a classic performance.
Sure.
Those are my honorables.
My honorables that were not mentioned: Seth MacFarlane as Ted.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Amy Poehler as Joy in Inside Out. Really, the whole cast of Inside Out I adored. Huge Wes Anderson fan. How about some George Clooney as Mr. Fox in Fantastic Mr. Fox? And Matt, this was on my list, and I took it off as I was shuffling numbers around. Orson Welles as Unicron in Transformers.
You just got
1986.
You got me right here, Ryan. Well done.
In fact, I was doing my list. I was at a Jimmy John's and I was doing some research and I rewatched a scene of Transformers and I got a little emotional watching it because I thought, Orson Welles in a Transformers movie. This is phenomenal. But
that was a
really
big film in my childhood. Probably all of us,
that
right?
Was great. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, tears
pivotal.
were shed. Yeah, I've
pivotal.
mentioned that. I remember just being crushed when Optimus Prime cried. The best part of the Hobbit series, not the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, the three after, was Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I loved him as that. And then you mentioned Woody Allen as Z. Those were mine.
Most of mine were already mentioned, but I have two. Kathleen Turner as Jessica Rabbit
She was sexy.
Yeah, I mean, it's that voice, you know. Oh, I love Kathleen Turner's voice. And then Brad Bird, you were talking about The Incredibles. He played Edna Node, the little lady who does the
the outfits,
the costumes,
in
darling.
Invincible. Yeah.
No capes. I mean, that is a great performance. He wanted to get Lily Tomlin, but she was like, no, you're doing it exactly the way you want it done, so you do it. And so he did.
Wow.
Nice. I'm sure, Jawheads, we missed some of your favorites because this is such a big list. Please, if you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw. We'll retweet it, get the discussion going. What we're going to do is take a quick break, and when we come back, Matt is taking Elliot on in Life movie trivia, a CinemaWAR looking at which movie diner/bar you'd like to attend, plus some feedback and a whole lot more. We'll be right back on Cinemajaw.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Cinemajaw is brought to you by K&N Air Filters.
Matt, we're coming to the end of winter.
Yeah.
A change of season, right? And it always reminds me, change my oil and get a new air filter.
Hey, speaking of air filters, you know where you can get a good one? KNNfilters.com.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't forget the /podcast because you'll get an air filter and a K&N hat.
I love the free hat.
The free hat is awesome.
Yep.
I forgot the /podcast, but I still saw an amazing website with an amazing product.
Bingo. We thank them for their support.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we are back hanging out here with Elliot Bambrough.
That's close. That's good enough.
I'm doing pretty good.
Better than some of my family, so you're fine.
I am notorious for butchering names, so I'm glad I'm getting it pretty damn close.
It's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
You could definitely do voice work introducing me somewhere at some point.
I like it. So as we had mentioned at the top, obviously co-host with Brittany Payton on Chicago's Best. Is there ever a time that you go to a restaurant and you eat the food and it's just no good?
You see, this is another question we get a lot, and the honest answer is no. We're very, very fortunate. We go to places that are recommended by viewers. It's their favorite place for a reason. They may have an extensive menu list, but there's certainly one thing they do, and they do it damn well, and that's generally the reason why we're there. So I can put my hand on my heart and honestly say that I've never been anywhere where the food has been bad. I mean, it may be just because I'm a hungry pig when I go to these places and I just love my food. But no, we're generally pretty lucky. It's always a good time.
It's good to hear.
That's awesome.
Now, putting you on the spot here on a couple of places.
Okay.
It's been mentioned on the Food Network and numerous publications as the best hamburger in the entire country. I've had it, and I love it. Au Cheval, you a huge fan? Do you think it is the best?
I think it's a great burger. I think it's up there. It's certainly got, it comes with a reputation, which certainly helps it. It's like Chinese whispers, you know, everyone has to go there. But the Chicago's full of like 100 other places that serve phenomenal burgers. And
Kuma's Corner.
Kuma's is great. There's a place not too far down the street from here, which I really like with their stuffed burgers, which is the Squared Circle. They do a killer burger. Oh my goodness. Now I'm throwing myself. You know when you get put on a spot and you eat food for a living and you can't remember a single name of any place in the world ever. Oh my good grief. Oh, there's another place it's a bit of a trek in Morton Grove called it's in a bowling alley, and when we filmed there, showing our love for movies, we did a little skit from The Big Lebowski.
Nice.
Stepping over the line, and we threw it in the episode. If we can get a pop culture reference in at any point, a movie reference in, I've even thrown Dune references in
nice.
about the spice and stuff, which I cannot believe stayed in the show. But there's a burger place now called Bubba Burger, and they do a great burger. VPT does great burgers. They're in West Rogers Park. I could move all over the city and name a bunch, but of course Au Cheval is a great burger. I mean, otherwise it wouldn't have that reputation. People wouldn't go. But I would encourage people to go out of their comfort zone and try as many other of these mum and pop places as you can, because there's a great burger in every hood around the city for sure.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah, do it. And it reminds me, too, to the Jawheads, we had Hyro from Florida come into Chicago, knows us from Cinemajaw. Had a unofficial Cinemajaw
fellow
meetup.
podcaster.
Yeah, fellow podcaster. If you're listening to this and you're coming to Chicago, shoot us a line, feedback@cinemajaw.com. We have great connections here to recommend restaurants in the city because the city is so vast and there are so many hidden gems. So.
Absolutely. I mean, the city is so big, and there are so many great neighborhood spots, and it's a real opportunity for people to get out and go and try different things. And certainly, obviously I'm going to plug it, but certainly use our show as a resource. I mean, we open up the doors for you. We give you that comfort level because people are scared to go and try new places. They don't want to spend their hard-earned cash if they don't know what they're getting. You can go to Yelp and just read people who are angry because their cutlery wasn't put on the table in time. Or you can watch our show and we'll show you how they make the food, what they're preparing, what it's good there to eat. So go, use us as a resource. Go check it out. I mean, there's so many great places.
I love it. So again, for the Jawheads listening to this, the best place to do so, all that good stuff online?
ChicagosBestTV.com.
Do it, Jawheads.
Thank you for the plug. Shameless plug.
Love it. Now, Matt, before we get to CinemaWAR, before we get to trivia, we threw some items into the Jaw box.
Oh.
And Elias, he loves food.
He does.
Mainly because we don't feed him in the Jaw box.
Yeah, just scraps.
Just scraps. Let's open up that Jaw box.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
What's in the box?
How's it going, fellas? I actually have to thank Rye the Movie Guy for letting me eat his cuties. These little, what are they?
Yeah, little mini
Little
oranges.
Yes.
Kids love cuties.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the bad thing about recording at Rye the Movie Guy's home theater.
We eat you out of house and
Yeah,
home.
somehow everybody eats my food and drinks my beer, but it's fun.
Well, yeah, I all of a sudden felt under the weather, so thank you for rescuing me, Ryan. So we have a bunch of questions. You know what? The first one, so I wasn't listening at this exact time.
That's good to know.
That Elliot said that he did a show called Little Brass Bird because I had a fanboy moment when I realized that I was like, what did you just say? Because I vaguely remember it from 2011, and I just looked up my notes. I was a huge fan of this YouTube series, and Jawheads, I implore you to go watch it. And I'm a jaded local filmmaker, and this is fantastic filmmaking, and it's just really entertaining.
Thank you. I can only take credit for the voices. I mean, the couple that put it together, the ones that are the real stars, have did a ton of work. But yeah, I mean, check it. It's old now, but it's a wonderful little whimsical kind of crazy world. So I'm glad you're a fan.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it is on YouTube.
Yes, it is.
There we go.
Yeah. You asked Ryan, how did they create Beast? So this is very interesting. This is from an Entertainment Weekly article. It said, essentially, Stevens had to give two different performances, one neck down, one neck up. He acted out the movements of his character's body on sets using stilts to enhance his height, and then wearing Lycra and a bodysuit and wearing tracking markers that would facilitate the CG rendering of the torso and limb. Then later, he would cover his face in ultraviolet makeup and replay the scene seated in front of a bank of cameras, which would be his facial movements. So it didn't say anything about actual, well, obviously it didn't have makeup or anything on set.
Right. So it was CGI mask
with a mocap performance.
I'm sorry, I
Separated.
still don't get the point of that. I still don't understand. Wait, with live action. First of all, I'm gonna break out the box here and say I don't see the point in making a remake of a classic already. What the point of that is in itself. But why?
Money, Elliot.
What really? But my second point is yeah, I get it. The computers enhance stuff, but there's nothing like just sticking on some makeup. Give the guy a chance to perform. Honestly. Is that wrong of me?
No.
No.
I love when they go to the old makeup mask type stuff. When it works wonders. There's still a realism to that. Even as good as the CGI is getting, there's still a realism to
especially since
practical effects.
Beast is a character who's like, he more or less his features are human, right? They're in the same place. He's not like some crazy alien creature where you have to use CG. Like, yeah, it could have just been a dude in a mask,
Right.
On stilts,
Okay.
right?
Well, yeah, on some weird stilts that make him look like he's got
A little bit more
wolf
height.
legs. Yeah, right, right.
And they have those, the ones that been. They totally can do that. They could have done it in practical sense. Sorry.
Yeah, lazy filmmaking.
Is Iron Giant streaming? Yes, on Netflix.
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, Ryan,
Watch it.
please watch
By
it.
Sunday, I'll have it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. When did Boiler Room come out, and when did Vin Diesel come onto the scene? So Boiler Room 2000, and before that, he was in Iron Giant and Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
So it was all right in
So
that
right
time.
around that time,
yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting.
He had a good progression right there, and he kind of broke out. Those are three terrible films to say your first three movies: Saving Private Ryan, Iron Giant, and then Boiler Room.
Wow. And then right after that was
Pitch Black, right?
That was great.
Oh, it was
So it
really
said
great.
he did a TV movie called Chronicles of Riddick into Pitch Black. So he did that first.
Oh,
Chronicles of Riddick
interesting.
was a TV movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Okay.
No, I could see that though.
All right.
Interesting.
And let's not forget Triple X, guys.
I was going to say right around then was Triple X as well. So then he was Vin Diesel for sure.
Yeah, he had arrived at that point.
Yeah.
And is Watership Down streaming? Yes, also on Netflix.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Okay, so tonight
Double
you're
dip.
Yeah.
No,
Double
hang
dip.
on. No, hang on. I need Ryan. I'm worried about you. I need you to pick carefully. Do not watch both these movies in one night. You will not want to leave the house ever again. Life will not be worth living.
Elliot, if you get a text from me, come over with a 6-pack of beer and cheer me up.
Right. And if you're singing Bright Eyes down the phone to me as well, it's like he's gone too far. The man went too far.
Yeah, maybe do one at a time, dude.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll take a break. I like it.
Yeah.
Nice that they're both streaming on Netflix.
Yeah, I like
though.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all the questions.
Beautiful.
But we do have some feedback.
All right. I love feedback.
Yes, so we've been getting a lot of answers for the riddles, and Kayleen Kassendike wrote, well, first she answered the riddle, but then she went on to say a couple of suggestions. I think you should come up with a better CinemaWAR award than 20 seconds of jaw time. One, it seems pointless when you already have an hour-plus long podcast, which is our guest Joe Avella pointed that out. And two,
Rightly so.
Rye always takes his own 20 seconds, even
You
if
believe
he
this
lost.
guy, Elliot? He just takes it.
That's because I care, and I want to
No,
make sure
it's
people heard
because
my
you-
opinion.
It's because you're an asshole.
She also said, I also think you should switch up the participants for trivia. Matt should have a turn coming up with questions while Rye takes on a guest. We did that in a Bizarro episode, but yeah, probably.
I think
more
we've done it
often maybe.
twice in the entire 7 years of Cinemajaw, so we should do that more. Those are both really good suggestions.
I like it.
And she did say, I do love the show, though. Even if you don't consider either of my recommendations, I'll still keep listening and be a huge fan.
Well, there you go. Now you can be honest and say you don't like the feedback.
Yeah, we really don't.
Man, that was like one of the first times we actually got feedback
Yes.
in the feedback
I like
email.
feedback
Legit,
in,
yeah.
in the feedback segment. Part of it too, Matt, is that the idea of the 20-second jaw time. I
Are you
like
about
the
to
idea of
explain it?
I know.
Okay.
I like the idea.
He's about to defend himself.
Yeah, he is.
No. I was going to say I actually like the idea of doing something different. And right before Beauty and the Beast
I do too.
came, we had read this email and we had a little downtime before the movie started, and we started thinking.
We were
So
brainstorming.
let's throw it out to the Jawheads. If they have an idea, feedback at cinemajaw.com or write us.
wow,
Maybe somebody will come up with something.
Crowdsource it.
Feedback on feedback.
Because me and Matt didn't come up with,
Outsourcing.
we didn't come up with anything that really hit the mark quite
No.
yet. Well, we'll think about it. We'll mull it over.
Yeah, Jawheads, help us out.
Yes.
Throw those ideas at us.
Yeah, we have gotten feedback before, but this was some criticism out of nowhere, but very helpful. You know,
That's
always the better the show.
Constructive.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Let's see. So on Twitter, we actually had somebody tweet in regards to last episode. Lorenzo Benetti tweeted, Cinemajaw, great jaw today, guys. Both had solid lists, instant classic trivia, and probably my favorite CinemaWAR to date, #boogers.
Ah,
Yes, the boogers comment.
yeah. Boogers at Hogwarts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was right on that. No
And I'm
doubt
glad-
about it.
Ryan was very obsessed with boogers last episode.
That's some people are obsessed by it. Some people see it as a hobby. Sometimes are very professional about their boogering. So
And I'm glad you felt that was an instant classic trivia because it always seems like one of us is going to blow the other one out of the water, and then all of a sudden it comes down to the very end. So
Yeah, lately it has.
yeah,
It's
it
been good.
did also the first ever time we did trivia.
Good stuff. Was that everything?
That's all.
All right. Get back in that jaw box.
We'll do.
Matt, it brings us to a segment called
CinemaWAR.
CinemaWAR works like this. Me and Matt, we're battling on a topic. Our guest, Elliot, is playing judge and jury and telling the Jawheads who he thinks won the CinemaWAR. And it's important because before we think of something else, we are battling for 20 seconds of precious jaw time to rant and rave on whatever we want. We got Elliot from Chicago's Best to judge which movie restaurant we would like to go to. Heck, Elias, tell the Jawheads at home what today's CinemaWAR topic is.
Today's CinemaWAR topic, which movie eatery would you rather go to? Mos Eisley Cantina or the diner in Back to the Future? Rye, you'll be fighting for the Cantina. Matt, good luck. You'll be fighting for Back to the Future. Let this CinemaWAR begin.
Holy crap, did I step in it this time. A little behind the scenes, I suggested this war and let Rye have his first pick at the two sides. Keep your wretched hive of scum and villainy, Ryan. They probably never wash the dishes. At Goldie's, you can get your glasses washed by a future mayor.
Matt, let's see. Do I want to go to a diner that serves the likes of Biff Tannen and does not know the difference between a vest and a life jacket? Or do I want to go to a cantina that houses the most wretched hive of scum and villainy? Not to mention, has a house band the galaxy lines up to see. Easy. Give me Mos Eisley any day of the week.
Look, the cantina is cool and all, and the entertainment is memorable, but the thing about Back to the Future's diner is you get to experience it at different times in American history. You can go to as an old saloon in the Wild West or as a futuristic automated techno eatery with robotic servers in the future. Why get stuck in one era?
All right, if Mos Eisley Cantina is cool enough for Han Solo and Chewbacca to be hanging out in, it's cool enough for me. No droids, no cover charge, and food on a stick. What's not to like?
You may be wanted in 13 systems, Rye, but this ain't one of them. The cantina in Mos Eisley is a filthy hole full of deadly aliens, and while that may sound perfect if you need someone to smuggle you off a planet, when you just want to chill and have a nice meal, it's not the best place. So give me a tab. I mean a Coke free, or just a coffee.
Think about how hip the crowd is at the cantina. They see a man get his arm chopped off by a lightsaber and go right back to socializing. No one even calls the bouncer to come clean up. Later, Greedo gets his head blown off and no one cares. Compare that to Goldie Wilson's diner, where if someone says the word manure, everyone snickers.
Yeah, I know I'm going to lose this one. All right, everyone's all gaga over the Cantina song. That got changed anyway in the new editions. But do you like Huey Lewis in the News, Ryan? Their early work was a little too new wave for my taste, but when Sports came out in '83, I think they really came into their own, commercially and artistically. The whole album has a clear, crisp sound and a new sheen of consummate professionalism that really gives the songs a big boost. He's been compared to Elvis Costello, but when I think Huey has a far more cynical sense of humor.
Is that a raincoat?
Yes, it is. In '87, Huey released this, 4, their most accomplished album. I think their undisputed masterpiece is Hip to Be Square, a song so catchy most people probably don't listen to the lyrics, but they should, because it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trends. It's a personal statement about the band itself. Hey, Ryan! That may have been the only way I could have possibly won, is to throw an axe at you.
Matt, go to a place where aliens from all over the galaxy gather to enjoy cheap drinks, or go to a diner where your dad hangs out. The choice is easy. Mos Eisley Cantina would actually be my first stop if I had a chance to go to that galaxy far, far away. Of all the cool Star Wars locales, the Cantina is still tops. So go ask for your Pepsi Free or your tabs somewhere else. Whew. We are button heads here, as always.
I just want to know, was there any point in that argument, Elliot, that made you go, maybe, when I was...
You know what? I love Back to the Future. I remember going and seeing it as a kid, and I loved Marty McFly, and I wanted to be a time traveler, and the diner was cool. And being in the UK, we don't have American-style diners, so I always loved the diner. I loved it. You made a good point about the fact that you can travel through different time zones in it. You can go back to the Wild West. You can go all the way forward to futuristic times. You can get your tab clear. You can get whatever kind of drink you want. You can even enjoy the fact that the Cubs win the World Series
in 2015.
In 2015, there's so many good points to that, and I especially liked your American Psycho. Bret Easton Ellis is one of my favorite novelists, so one of my favorite authors. So I'm a huge fan of what you did there. But it does lend to the fact that you have very little defense because you pulled out all the stops on that one.
Yeah.
Mos Eisley Spaceport, which we all know, and the Cantina, and you both said it. It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy, and you must be cautious. However,
Well
it's
done.
thank you. It's a cool place.
It is a cool place.
And everyone wants to go there. And I would quite happily go there. And again, I mean, I've never noticed that in the movies before. Someone gets his fucking arm chopped off and no one moves a muscle. No one says, excuse me, can we get a mop in here? And Greedo gets his head blown off and everyone goes, oh, must be a Tuesday. And then turns around and drinks again. It is the coolest bar in the known universe. Possibly the entire system that we live in.
Unless you're a droid.
Unless you're a droid, in which case you have to stay outside because we don't serve their kind in here, which is also true. But hell, you know what? I'm not a droid, so I don't care. It doesn't affect me.
So this is a win for me.
I'm going to say it's a win for you.
That may have been a foregone conclusion there.
But that was a great battle. I enjoyed that very much. I enjoyed that.
They're always fun. They are. For now, as we said, it does earn 20 seconds, and this really is just 20 seconds. Interesting enough, we went and saw Beauty and the Beast as we reviewed on the show, and I noticed that I came home and I was marking my notes and looked up Bill Condon, who directed the film, and one of the things that I thought would be fun for the Jawheads to do, and I did, was I looked up Bill Condon to see what else the guy had directed, and noticed that he also directed Mr. Holmes, which had just came up.
With Ian McKellen?
Yes,
Yeah.
with Ian McKellen playing the old Sherlock Holmes. So I went ahead and I streamed that on Amazon Prime.
Any good?
last night.
I still haven't seen it.
Wonderful little film.
Nice.
So it's streaming, but it's a good thing to do when you go see a movie. Check out the director. What other works did he do? And maybe you'll find a hidden gem in there. So
Good for you, man.
That's it. See, I use my 20 seconds wisely.
You did.
That's why I always want to chime them in. I'm just
Even when
trying
I
to
win,
help.
somehow you use your 20 seconds.
I'm always trying to help, Matt.
Yeah.
All right, it brings us to trivia. But did you put everything away here, Matt?
Yes,
No
yes.
cheating here.
No screens. No screens.
We went eye for an eye, and we all gave 4 ignores for the movie Life. But in honor of Life, we are playing Life movie trivia. Think of movies with the title Life in them.
Okay.
Elliot, you're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first. There are steals, and if you get hung up on any question, our engineer, Elias Rodriguez, has clues to all the question. You get 1 trip to the ER.
Oh, wow. That was an awful lot to try and digest. So there are steals. So what, you can steal from the other person's...
Only if he doesn't know.
Okay.
So it's always good to go first.
Okay. Then I will go first, because you just said it's always good to go first. Thank you for that.
And they start off easy. So.
Okay.
All
Oh,
right.
good.
And we want to make the guest welcome. Sorry, Matt.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I want him to be welcome as well.
Question 1 in Life movie trivia, over to Elliot. In 2012, Ang Lee directed a movie about a boy and a tiger stuck on a boat together on the open sea. Name it.
It's one of my favorite things to eat. It's Life of Pi.
It also happens to be, oh no, that was yesterday, Pie Day.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
That's
yesterday
when
was
we're
Pi
recording
Day.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done a pie episode on Chicago's
Have
Best?
we done an all just pie episode? I don't know if we have. You know what doesn't look greatly appetizing is just crust sitting on a plate. Unless you cut into it. I don't know if we've done a pie episode. We might
Maybe a
well have done.
suggestion. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
there you
suggestion.
All right. 1-0, Elliot. Question 2 over to Matt K. Matt, in 2011, Brad Pitt, Jessica Chastain, Sean Penn, and at one point some dinosaurs starred in this epic film from Terrence Malick.
Just Tree of Life. You would have probably said okay with
One,
that.
yeah, fine.
Okay.
1-1. This is good. Back over to Elliot. Question 3. The 2013 film The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was about a negative assets manager at Life magazine named Walter Mitty. Who played him?
Ben Stiller.
It's another
2-1.
one I still haven't seen.
It's a good one. It's a good.
I haven't
little
seen
film.
it either, actually. I want to see that.
I liked it. 2-1, Elliot. Question 4, Matt K. One of only 2 times Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio starred in a film together was in this 1993 film in which De Niro played DiCaprio's stepfather. Name it.
1993 Life movie trivia. Man, oh,
Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, 1993. He was young.
yeah.
De Niro was his stepfather.
I got it. A Bug's Life. Oh. It was voiceover.
Oh, Oh no, it's
Incorrect.
not. Apparently. Oh,
Incorrect.
I was like, that's a great one. Is that it?
I said it with confidence.
You did. I would
Yeah.
have given it to you just for confidence alone.
That is incorrect. You got a chance for a steal now, Elliot. One of two times Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio starred in a film together was in this 1993 film in which De Niro played his stepfather.
You know what? I can't, for the life of me, think even with a word thrown in on the title. I'm going to throw. I'm going to bother throwing a guess because I have no idea.
We were looking for This Boy's Life. It's a great one. If
We
you
sure
haven't seen
were.
it, no, it's a gem. It's a gem.
With those two guys, yeah, it's got to be.
And this is like
yeah.
DiCaprio as a teenager when he's just getting his chops going. Really good, those two on screen. It is still 2-1. Elliot, question 5, though, jumps over to him. Elliot, Bill Murray played Steve Zissou in the Life Aquatic films. But what actress played his wife in the movie Eleanor?
That was played by. Hang on, God, I love Life Aquatic, and I love Steve Zissou, and his wife Eleanor is played by Angelica Houston. Pow!
Wow. 3-1. 3-1,
Nice.
Elliot. Matt, got to stay in the ball game here. Question 6. Name the actress who starred in Life as We Know It, which was about two single adults who become caregivers to an orphaned girl when their mutual best friend dies in an accident. She played Holly in the film.
Was this a comedy?
It actually was.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Wait,
It sounds tragic because the mutual friend dies, but after they become the caregivers, it's become somewhat of a lighthearted romantic comedy.
okay, so what's the actual question?
Name the actress
The actress?
who starred in Life as We Know It.
The actress who starred in Life as We Know It. Was that?
You do have a lifeline, and it is question 6.
Okay, fair enough. I should probably use it here. I might want to save it till question 7. All right, Elias, rescue me.
Wow.
Go to
Question
the
number
ER.
6. Over to Elias Rodriguez. Who starred in Life as We Know It?
Your clue is she has worn 27 dresses and been a killer with Ashton Kutcher.
The 27 dresses thing completely baffles me.
She has
I
worn,
have no idea what that means.
she has wore 27 dresses.
Oh,
There could be a movie,
is it
27 dresses.
Natalie Portman?
Wow. Incorrect.
Oh, that was that stupid Friends with Benefits.
Yes.
No strings attached.
Terrible.
Who was a killer with?
Hey, hold
with-
on. He's got a chance for a steal
Oh, I'm
here.
sorry, I'm sorry.
And to blow this thing wide open.
Have you got this one, Elliot?
I know the movie 27 Dresses because it's another one of those movies that have been on that I have refused to watch while it's on. 27 Dresses. If my wife's listening to this, she's screaming at her phone right now. 27 Dresses, and she's also been a killer with Ashton Kutcher. When did he play a killer in what movie?
He was an assassin in something or other. I can't remember it.
I'm gonna go. It's Rachel Adams. Rachel McAdams. Oh, whatever. Doesn't matter apparently.
We were looking for Katherine Heigl.
Oh yeah.
Katherine Heigl
okay.
in 27 Dresses.
What was the other movie?
She was in The Cures, it was called, with Ashton Kutcher, which is also like an assassin.
I'm sure that was a
romantic comedy.
great
Catherine
movie.
Heigl, can't we get like a knocked up clue? I mean, come on.
That would have been a giveaway, but blame
Yeah, it
Elias.
would have been.
You know? Yeah.
Hand me. Yeah.
Hey, it's still 3-1, Elliot, and question 7 now is over to
Oof.
him. He can win it right here with this question.
No
Elliot,
pressure.
Name the 2007 film that starred Steve Carell, Juliette Binoche, and Dane Cook, and was about a widower, Steve Carell, falling in love with his brother's wife. They do get tough as we go along here. Question 7, Life movie trivia. 2007 film.
Yeah.
Steve Carell, Juliette Binoche, Dane Cook.
Oh, I should really start watching anything with Dane Cook in it then. Apparently.
And
The
you do have a
only time anyone's ever said that, right?
Right.
I've got to watch more Dane Cook movies.
Absolutely. You do have a lifeline, though, if you need it.
I'm not sure if it's going to help me, but to keep this interesting, I will take a trip to the ER
Whoa, trip to the ER, Elias Rodriguez.
to seal it up.
What was the name of that Steve Carell film?
Your clue is short for Daniel, not in virtual reality. Short for Daniel, not in virtual reality.
Oh, is this Dan in real life?
What a clue from Elias.
That was he might as well have just written it down on a piece of paper and said, "Read this out loud." but I appreciate it.
Sometimes the clues are very on the nose.
The movie is called Dan in Real Life. Say that. Dan in Real Life?
He wins this one 4-1. Last question of the game, though,
Okay.
over to you, Matt.
Just for fun.
Yeah. The 1993 film My Life is about a dying father who makes a video for his child to watch when he gets older. What actor played the father in the film? Bob Jones.
Michael Keaton.
Yes.
Yes. 4-2. Made it a little bit of a ball game, but Elliot wins this one. Can I get a
Well
handshake
done.
there?
Thank you.
Well
Thank
done,
you.
sir.
Well done to you, too. You're a great competitor.
This question goes over to Elliot, not only because he is.
This would have been the tiebreaker.
This would have been the tiebreaker,
Okay.
and it's a tough tiebreaker.
Oh, wow.
I believe.
Okay.
It's a life question, and it's a British question. All right. Over to Elliot. Better Monty Python film:
Life of Brian.
Life of Brian or The Meaning of Life?
Oh my goodness. Well, if life is the answer, then it has to be Life of Brian. But
The Meaning of Life.
the meaning of
They're
life.
both- they're
Oh
both
yeah, they're
life.
both got life in. Oh, I'm sorry. I like both those movies. I love both those movies. I think the better constructed and the just the better film in general has to be The Life of Brian. No, you're wrong.
Incorrect.
No, you're wrong. You don't
It is The
even. You
Meaning
barely
of Life.
speak the language.
It's actually Monty Python's Holy Grail,
Yes,
guys.
it's actually the Holy Grail.
That is a great movie.
They're all great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real jawbreaker was this: Age of Angelica Houston, closest to. Matt,
I was
you gotta
just
guess?
thinking about that when we.
That's a
question was
weird
up.
thing to be thinking about.
Well, I mean,
Is it what in case you like break up with your wife and
I wonder if Angelica Houston's available and alive.
what if she has a bus pass here?
I wonder if she's on medication.
See, no, I've heard about this.
I wonder
and
if she
I've-
wears Spanx.
I've heard about this because from what I understand, you're going to go through a whole routine of when you were a kid, what movies she was in when you were a kid, what the year was when it rained in September, and how
Yeah.
old she was in that movie too.
Well, the big one is the Addams Family films.
There we go.
And it came out in 90, I want to say like 92. It was very, very early on. I remember playing that pinball
Yeah, because
game.
MC Hammer did the theme tune for it.
Yes.
So it's got to be early 90s.
Early 90s. And I would put Angelica Houston in that film in her early 50s, I would say. I mean, she was the matriarch, just gorgeous woman. Still looks great. But she was not young in that. And that was like 30 years ago. I would say she's got to be getting close to 80. I'll go 76 years old.
76. Lock him in at 76.
That's probably way off. That's my guess.
Elliot.
Okay, so let's try and reason off of Matt's logic.
Don't
Yeah.
as long as it's not my math.
But I mean, my math's worse than yours. Trust me. But I mean, I like your starting point of Addams Family, which was roughly in early 90s. It's got to be like 91, 92. And I would say I'm not going to go. She was in her 50s back then. I'm gonna put her at least 10 years younger than that, at 40 in 93, 2003, 2013, 30. What did I say? Like 40, 50, 60. I'm gonna go 60. What did you say?
He said 76.
I'm gonna go.
Put her near 80.
I'm gonna go 64.
Wow. Thank the Lord Elliot saved the day. I almost laughed at your guess. She's 65.
Oh, a year out.
Yeah, you were right on top of it. I almost laughed and gave it
Maybe
up
it's
because you
because
were starting to say-
Morticia-
You said at one point she's almost 80. I thought, oh my God, is he
I was
aging?
way off, yeah.
Yeah. She's not that old.
No, I guess she was like, obviously the math holds up.
Think
She
about
was
it this
in
way.
her
She's
40s
supposed to
then.
be Bill Murray's wife in The Life Aquatic. I mean,
Right.
they're right around the same age.
That's he's got to be 65 now, right? 64,
Yeah.
65.
I guess so.
She was great in that. She was great in the Royal Tenenbaums as
yeah.
well.
I mean, all of his films are the best. I love The Life Aquatic. So
I love Wes Anderson,
Yeah.
anything.
good stuff. Oh, man. I hate when these jaws come to an end sometimes.
I could keep going, but yeah.
I know. First and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Elliot. This has been a blast. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thanks for coming on Cinemajaw.
Thank you for having me. I love talking movies. I mean, it's been a blast for me. It's been as much fun for me as it probably has not been fun for you guys. Let's put it that way.
No, we
that's not
loved
true.
it. We
You
loved
know what?
Thank
We
you.
got to have you back and do narrations. I think that is
Yeah?
a worthy
That-
list
it
someday.
Could be a whole topic of just narration somewhere down the road.
I'm down for anything. Horror, comedy,
can
whatever,
do some horror, too.
whatever genre, whatever topic. Sci-fi, fantasy. I don't know, claymation. Movies that never got released. Best black and white.
Oh, I like it.
These
This
are
guy's
all good
throwing some
suggestions.
topics out. I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll definitely have Elliot back.
I'd love to come back.
Awesome. We also got to thank the best engineer in the biz, Elias Rodriguez.
Thanks, guys.
Also, thanks to all the sponsors.
Yep, and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who help us get those sponsors.
Yeah. Each week lately, we've been pushing our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to us there, but also subscribe to our newsletter, Matt.
Yeah, hey, throw us your email address. We put out a newsletter just once a month, and I think it's pretty cool because we get some behind-the-scenes, and some personal photos as well. So you get to see what we do when we're not at the table.
What's the easiest way for them to subscribe? Did you put some button on the website?
Yeah, it's right at the top of the website. Put your email in, and boom, you're subscribed.
That's nice and easy.
Very easy.
Do it. Until next week, I'm Ryan, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on jawing about the movies.